What's good, YouTube? Steph here. Welcome to Theta Space. I'm reviewing another Kenso album this week, and this time it's YUME no Oka. Kenso released their fifth album, YUME no Oka, in 1991. My copy is a 1997 CD reissue on Schillaci Music, which is a French label. YUME no Oka translates into English as Hill of Dreams. I'm assuming that's why the album cover is a flock of sheep walking down a hill. This is pretty bare bones compared to the previous Kenso CDs I've reviewed. It contains only the tracks that were on the original release, no bonus tracks. This is also the case with my copy of Kenso 3, but even that came with a 10-page booklet, not counting the front and back cover. Admittedly, that booklet was in Japanese and I couldn't read it, but it was more than I got with YUME no Oka, which is just a CD and a digipack with printing on the front and the back and on the inside flap. So, after the transitional period of the last album, Sparta, Kenso's personnel is stabilized into the lineup that remained in place through 2003's Fabulous Mirabilibus de Bombicosi Scriptus, along with the ever-present Yoshihisa Shimizu on guitar, bouzouki, and Portugal guitar. The band has Kenichi Oguchi and Kenichi Mitsuda on keyboards, and the rhythm section of Shunji Sagyusa on bass and Masayuki Muraishi on drums. These two came on board during the recording of Sparta and replaced the prior bassist and drummer. So like Kenso 3, YUME no Oka has a two-part composition that's split up to occupy the beginning and end of the album. The album opens strong with The Phases of the Moon 1, which starts with guitar and synth. I have to figure that's a synth because no flute player is credited on the album. And after that little intro, the band is off and kicking on a high-energy prog fusion jam. Next is Signification of Time, which opens with a fast and intricate organ line and is another one of the album's best tracks. The pace slows down with the third track, From the Mystic Woods, featuring a fretless bass lead and very tastefully laid-back percussion. The record takes a turn after the third track with OIA, a short little guitar interlude that I just don't find very engaging. That's followed by The Ancient in My Brain, which is another high-energy fusion jam. I like this one, but to me it's more compositionally simple than the three great tracks that opened the album. I would almost say this album is front-loaded, except that one of the best tracks comes almost at the end. The next track after Ancient is Fuan na Kioku, another mellow piece that's guitar and synth. It's short, it's less than 2.5 minutes, more engaging than OIA, although that isn't saying much. It's not a bad track for that. Again, it's more like an interlude or transition. Then we get to Mediterranean and Aryan, which has an interesting percussion line keeping the groove, but it's even more simplistic than The Ancient in My Brain. I like the complex lead lines, but the groove just doesn't vary much. Next comes Today I Left OIA, which is a lot like OIA, but less so. The shortest track by far at 45 seconds. The Fourth Reich is my least favorite track on the album if we're not counting the interludes. Pretty basic beat that also doesn't vary much like Mediterranean and Aryan. But it's followed with the last really great track on the record, Alfama, over 6.5 minutes, the longest track on the record, and the music changes up and keeps things interesting all the way through. This might actually be my favorite track on the album. The closing track is The Phases of the Moon 2, which I find is more of a piece with the interlude tracks than with the longer pieces, including its own part 1. It's not a short throwaway track like the others, though. It's a full 3 minutes, and it concludes the album satisfactorily. So if you watched my album ranking, you might remember that I ranked this one 7th of the 9. Only 2000's Esoptron and the 1980 debut came in lower. But that doesn't mean I don't like this album. It just means that there are 6 other albums that I liked better. I really love the first 3 tracks and Alfama, and The Ancient in My Brain and Mediterranean and Aryan and even the Fourth Reich are decent listens, but just not in the same class as my 4 favorites here. And with the shorter tracks, they just lower the album's overall standing. I know a couple of other Kenso fans who count this one as their favorite, and I get it. I understand why someone would rate this one higher than Kenso 2 or 3 or Sparta, but for me, on a 10 scale, I give this one a 5 like I gave the self-titled debut, but a higher 5 than that one, like 5 1/3 maybe. What do you think? Kenso fans, let me know. Is this one your favorite? If not, how does it rate for you? Let me know in the comments. Also, smash like if you up, and please tap subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. See you next time. Until then, bright moments. Steph out.